Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Inside Sports Talk with your host, Joanna Rosali. And I am joined by my amazing co host here, Ed Cole, on this beautiful Tuesday evening. How are you, Ed? I missed you. You've left me hanging high and dry.
Folks, you know that's a lie. I was on Arizona Christian duties. I was doing ACU football and other different things. So I did not leave you high and dry, Joanna. Hello, sis. Missed you, girl. How are you?
Missed you too. I am doing great. Always just have to, pull your leg, but I'm glad you're
Course,
back. I missed you.
you always
Good to
got to
have.
get that little jab in there. That little jab,
Yes.
don't you?
But yes, good to have you back. We talk some sports, a little WNBA, NFL, MLB postseason with our other co-host who will be joining us here shortly, PLR from the Sports Cave, and again our very great friend of mine and sports broadcaster, and his name is Marco Peralta. So everyone will go ahead and get to meet him here shortly on our second segment as we lean into some NFL talk. But before we do that, welcome back, Ed, once again.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be back home.
Yes, good to have you. But let's go ahead and kick it off. There's been a lot happening, and I don't know how we're able to keep track of all of these amazing sports that are going on, Ed. But WNBA women, kick-ass, badass women. The playoffs are starting. They are dueling it out, leaving it all on the court. And they kick off this Thursday, September 23rd. And I am nothing but excited to be able to witness a women's basketball playoff, professional women's basketball playoffs. And nothing less than expected. It's going to be a great game between the Phoenix Mercury here at home in the Valley of the Sun in Phoenix, Arizona, against the New York Liberty and Sabrina Ionesco, she is beyond and out of this world, and seeing Sabrina face off, hopefully, Diana Taurasi. And that would be one for the ages, Ed.
It would be. That is going to be so exciting. And folks, what she means by her being able to cover being at a game is you'll be there at the game at Footprint Center with PLR, with our brother PLR covering the game. So congratulations for that, sis. You're going to be there covering your first WNBA playoff game. That'll be exciting, right? Single elimination game. So this is for all the marbles.
Single elimination game. Yep. But it actually will not be at the Footprint Center. It will be at Grand Canyon University Arena. So it's going to be at GCU in their arena there, where who's going to be hosting the WNBA playoffs between the New York Liberty and the Phoenix Mercury.
Okay, my fault.
So a little changes of scenery. I expected the same to have it be at the Footprint Center. I cannot speak. My words will not easily flow out of my mouth. We'll get through this today. But yes, GCU, their arena there, where they will be hosting that game. But still excited to see what's going to come about that. But Phoenix Mercury have, during the season, gone against New York Liberty 3 times. And out of those 3 times, they've been victorious twice. But one of those games was actually very, very close, and it was by a two-point game. A 2-point victory, which that was taken by New York Liberty. So this is going to be a great game. They have, great gals between Brittany Griner, Skylar Diggins, of course, the GOAT Diana Taurasi, just to name a few. I think this is going to be very similar to Sunday's game, which was their last game of the season when they faced off the Las Vegas Aces. But one of the things that the Phoenix Mercury do have to do and focus on is on those fouls, those turnovers. They did well, but they just came short in the last seconds, which is what I think what cost them. The Aces didn't bring on the pressure with the Liberty and being a playoff game. Everything is on the line. Mercury, they will have to make some tweaks there in their game out there on the court.
Yes, Joanna, because no mistakes are allowed in the playoffs, especially with the single elimination game. Joanna, those mistakes have to be cleaned up before the Liberty take the court at Grand Canyon University, because if those mistakes continue to happen that night, Joanna, when you and PLR are there and the other media in that place is going to be rocking. That I've covered many a game there for covering GCU basketball. That place gets so loud in there. So I'm sure the Mercury are going to have a home court advantage, of course, there. But yeah, mistakes are going to be, you've got to be able to cut those things down. Turnovers and just simple mistakes. We always talk about that, Joanna. Teams shooting themselves in the foot with self-inflicted wounds, right? Especially in the playoffs, when everything is magnified. Every single mistake you make could be a fatal one for you, especially back again. And as we circle back again to this single elimination situation. You lose, you're out. So there is no tomorrow after Thursday. If you lose to the Liberty, you're out, and the Liberty move on to the second round, either against Seattle or Minnesota.
Yes, and then we actually have two games on Thursday, which I want to go ahead and lead into the Dallas Wings and the Chicago Sky. That is actually going to be happening before the New York Liberty and the Phoenix Mercury game, which then from there the winners will go on to the second round elimination game. So it's a very, very exciting day on Thursday. I don't know how I see these playoffs going, Ed.
Neither.
They're just all leading up to the playoffs. We've seen, Mercury was at the top. They lost a few games. They had won 10 in a row. Then they lost, I think, 2 or 3 in a row. And then that dropped them down to number, I believe, 5 when they were, when they were leading, and they were, I believe, number 1 or 2. So that dropped their seed. It's just been one of those, just any playoff. It's like anything can happen, and everything did happen and does happen.
Yes.
So I don't know what to expect out of these playoffs, and everything's on the line. Everything's up for grabs, and I do hope that hope to see with the Phoenix Mercury they are one of the contenders to make it all the way through, in hopes of Mercury bringing a 4th championship home. But it's not going to be easy. They have the Liberty, who they will be going on up against. They have, we have Sky and we have the Wings, also great teams here, great ladies. And, you just look at Arik here with 18.7 points, and that's, one of their leaders here. We have with the Sky, we have assists leading by Courtney Vandersloot at 8.6. So it's, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy, and the playoffs always are. The second season, you just never know what's going to happen, Joanna. And this is the point where every team plays for. They play for the right to get to the playoffs and eventually compete for a world championship. And it'll start at GCU on Thursday, and of course it'll start in Dallas a little bit, in Chicago a few hours before New York and Phoenix tip off. So it'll be exciting. I'm really excited to see which ladies are going to come out on top of this thing. Especially I like the way they had this thing kind of working out with the single elimination and at least the first 2 rounds, and then you get to the round of 5 and the semifinals, and then of course the WNBA finals will be right after that. I believe that starts on October 10th. So it is going to be a mad, crazy rush to game 1 of the WNBA finals, and it'll be exciting. I like the way it's all laid out. It's even more exciting, right, Joanna? Knowing that one game counts. You win, you move on to the second round. You lose, that's your season. You're done for the season.
Yeah, it's we know. With baseball, when we have those tie-breaking games or those wild card elimination games, everything just, I don't know, it's like 10 times more. You know, you just feel it, and it's so much more energy out there.
And Joe, doesn't the pressure ramp up even that much more on the players and come playoff time, especially with the ladies? Come back around, we circle a third time to this single elimination. How this thing works out so much that everything again is magnified. Everything is of the utmost importance. Every possession is critical for a team's victory or a loss.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And just looking at the teams that have gone on or will be going on to the playoffs and clinched a spot there, I don't know who to predict to make it all the way through, Ed. It's a really tough call.
Yeah, me neither. Because they're all really good teams. Even though New York struggled toward the end, they lost 8 of their last 10. They didn't play their best, but they did beat the Washington Mystics to end their season. So at least they ended their regular season on a good note. And the Mercury played. They ran 7 out of their last 10, so they played well down the stretch. But again, as you mentioned, the team goes by the way Diana Taurasi goes. If she's healthy and she's out there and she's able to play, then it's a different Phoenix Mercury team than it is without her.
Yes. We have Minnesota, we have the Lynx, we have Las Vegas Aces, who are second seeded right now. We have Connecticut Sun, which is another team that's just been kicking butt out there. Seattle Storm. Yeah, it's. I don't know.
And the Lynx, Minnesota's solid. Number 3 seed, they're really good. It's not going to be easy. Whoever goes to the Target Center to face the Minnesota Lynx, you better be ready for a battle. Yeah, I see that.
I'm looking and I'm struggling, Ed. I really am struggling.
The gears are turning in your mind. I can see them, Joe. I can see them. They're moving.
Definitely. So I'm not going to make any predictions right now. That's all I'll say. We'll go ahead and leave that for the next show and get where we are a little bit closer to knowing, the road there to the semifinals and the finals.
And Joe, you saw the Las Vegas Aces just a few days ago when they played the Mercury over at Footprint Center. You saw how good that basketball team is. That is an excellent basketball team coached by Bill Laimbeer. They're no joke. Las Vegas is serious. The Aces are absolutely no joke.
They are no joke. They are scrappy. There's a reason why they're the second seed in the WNBA and secured a spot in the semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to go ahead and introduce now our great friend, sportscaster and broadcaster, Marco Peralta, joining us here tonight on the show. Hi, Marco. How are you? Thank you for joining me and meeting my co-host, Ed, here. I know you joined me on Saturday on our Punto Deportivo podcast.
Hi, how's it going, guys? Excited to be here. Thanks for the invitation and a pleasure to meet you guys.
Brother Peralta, good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Ed, correct, if I'm not mistaken,
yes.
Right? It's Ed?
Yes.
Ed, nice to meet you, Ed.
Great to meet you, my brother.
So I want to go ahead and kick off this next segment and talking some NFL. So we're probably going to be pretty in depth here. I know we have Marco here for like about 20 minutes or so, but I have a segment called Good, Bad, and Ugly, Marco.
Okay.
And I want to go ahead and kick it off with that. What was your good? What was your bad? And what was the ugly? We'll go ahead and do a round each, and give our take on each of those. But I want to go ahead and kick it off with the ugly. Okay. And I want to go ahead and lead off with you, Marco.
Oof.
Okay. The ugly? Dang. Okay. So I would say the big ugly is, I wouldn't say it's expected, but I think the Jacksonville Jaguars being 0-2 right now, I think that's pretty like not the best in my opinion, because of the fact that they came with so much like high expectations because of Trevor Lawrence and what he did with Clemson, first overall pick, coming out of the draft, one of the best highly ranked prospects in the NFL. And then you have a coach in Urban Meyer who has been such a powerhouse when he was at Ohio State, just a well-known college football program. And to see how they've been struggling at the NFL level. When Trevor Lawrence, I think this was the first game he lost since high school when it was the first week of the NFL. The first game he's lost since high school, Joanna. And he's obviously in college football, it takes you 3 years to be eligible to be playing, to be considered for the NFL draft. But seeing how Trevor Lawrence lost his first game since high school and seeing Urban Meyer do that drastic change from the college football to not coaching for a couple of years and then to the NFL once again to a team that's been on the rebuild for many, many years now. It was pretty ugly. I was hoping they would at least get one win in these first 2 weeks, but it's not looking good for them. It's not looking good at all.
Yeah, no, that was definitely not a pretty sight to watch there, and just seeing Trevor Lawrence, their struggle, that was painful.
Yep, indeed it was.
Yeah. So Ed, you're up. Give us your ugly.
Can I have two uglies? I want two per good, bad, and ugly. Can I have two?
Okay, yeah, you're going into some deep stuff.
You're getting greedy now. You're getting greedy.
More than two per segment, of course. But my first ugly is the Miami Dolphins. The way they got destroyed at home against Buffalo on Sunday, that was ugly. Tua Tagovailoa, he got injured, and you only managed just over 200 yards against Buffalo. That was embarrassing. That was one of my uglies. Actually, I'm going to do three uglies. So I'm going to take the liberties. I'm doing three uglies. Last night, the Detroit Lions against your Green Bay Packers, Joanna, that was ugly. I knew when I saw that matchup on Monday Night
Packers. Sorry
I am a Packers.
You're a Packers fan.
Yeah, she's a cheesehead.
Oh, okay. So Ed, it's funny because last time was it when we did the Spanish one? I was like doing the Spanish podcast with her. She started bringing up the Packers. I'm like, I wonder why she just brought up just the Packers in this episode. But now I see why. Now you see why.
That was ugly. When I saw that initial matchup, I was like, that's going to be an ugly game. When the schedule first came out, I'm like, Packers and the Lions, you couldn't pick a better Monday night game than that game, and it actually turned out to be an ugly one. But I've got a great one coming out of that. But one more ugly is the situation with the Houston Texans at the quarterback. You are now resorting to David Mills, a rookie quarterback at your quarterback position. We all know what's going on with Deshaun Watson, whether he's going to be there or not. He's going to be a healthy scratch every week until they can find a deal to get rid of him. And then Tyrod Taylor goes out and gets hurt last week, just a few days ago against Cleveland, and now they're resorting to Davis Mills against Carolina on Thursday night at home. So that's a really ugly situation in Houston for their quarterback situation. Really just a horrible situation for the Texans as they're now down to their third quarterback option, a rookie quarterback, Davis Mills.
Are you really surprised that they're down to their third quarterback though?
No.
Just a thought.
Is that a question or is that like a thought?
If you want to answer it, go ahead. Go for it, man.
Well, it sucks because of the fact that Deshaun Watson, he's a great quarterback, but because of just the issues that have been happening, like it just shows how bad of a franchise the Texans are. You gave up DeAndre Hopkins for nothing to the Cardinals, and you let JJ Watt go for nothing as well, and now you have this deal with Deshaun Watson, and it just sucks because it just goes to show how they haven't been able to clean up the franchise. Like, obviously, like when a franchise is doing really, really bad, they try to clean house. Houston hasn't even tried to do that. They're just like doing like an automatic mode every single week, and that's the thing about Houston. Just it's sad to see because this team was fighting for division titles against the Colts a couple years ago, and now they're just like playing rookies or just trying to fill in roster spots, and they're throwing money to the waste. Deshaun Watson isn't playing, and he's going to be active this upcoming week for the Houston Texans. He's going to be paid a whole lot of money just to not play.
Yeah. So sad and so unfortunate. So I'll give my ugly, and it's going to be the Falcons. They are 0-2. They fell against Brady and the Buccaneers and threw for 3 interceptions, and that score was just not good, and that was just not a good performance by the Falcons.
And two pick sixes to the same person.
Well, it is Tampa Bay. Imagine me saying this 2 years ago when Tom Brady wasn't there. They'd be, oh, it's Tampa Bay. They should win that game. But now that Tom Brady's there and Tampa Bay are the defending Super Bowl champions, and then Atlanta, they just got rid of Julio Jones, and Matt Ryan has no weapons to throw the ball, and they don't have a running game. So that football team is another one that's like, ugh, is not in a good role right now.
Yeah, ugh.
Yeah, definitely not a pretty sight as Brady threw 5 touchdown passes and 276 yards.
Yeah,
just to add to his collection of milestones that he's achieving.
But guys, is he not the real Benjamin Button?
He is.
The guy is aging in reverse, and he's getting better. He's getting better game by game.
That's the thing. Like this year, Ed, he got that slingshot arm again. Like he just sits in the pocket and he throws it just like nothing. It's just pure magic. And I'm like, how's this guy like over 40 years old and still playing like if he's in his 20s? Like I think
better
he's in that stage of like, well, yeah, better too because of the experience. But like when you said it about Benjamin Button, it seems like he's in that time period that he's not aging at all. He's just staying at one like time of his life, and then later on he's gonna get older. You know what I mean? He's staying at one like time period, and he's just getting better and better and better, and not aging one bit. And it sucks because not sucks, but like 4 or 5 years ago they were saying, "Is this your last season? Is this your last season?" The guy's going for another Super Bowl this year, and like in the NFC, it's like the perfect time to do it because almost all the teams in the NFC are like rebuilding, not playing good football, or you just don't know what kind of team they are. Tampa Bay, everyone came back.
And especially in that division, Marco, they can win that thing easily.
Exactly, like nothing.
With Drew Brees gone, Atlanta's terrible. Yeah. Carolina's actually a really good football team. So I think Carolina may give them a run, but Tampa is they're the cream of the crop in the NFC. Still the cream of the crop in the NFL.
Players got a pay cut just to stay with the team. Last year they struggled. They barely were. I think it was one game over 500. This year they beat the Chiefs. Or it wasn't like a week one. It was against the Cowboys, and they just look so good. Like when I saw when the Cowboys scored and they had like a minute and a half left for Tom Brady, you just saw that look. I was like, yeah, he's got it. You don't give the greatest of all time a minute and a half to score a touchdown or a field goal. You just don't do that. It's like, this team it's going to be scary. It's going to be real scary.
Yeah, just might as well just hand him the NFC championship already.
It's not like he has like 6 or 7 Super Bowls hanging in his living room,
Yeah, 7. But yes, we digress. Going on.
Joanna doesn't like that because of the fact that Tampa Bay is in the same conference as the Packers. So
actually, another fun fact, Marco, is Tom Brady. I'm a big Tom Brady fan. So yeah. So when it was the Bucks and Green Bay Packers, that was a sight.
She's still a little bitter that Tom went to Lambeau and beat the Packers.
I'm not bitter. It hurts a little bit, but I'm not bitter.
It hurts.
I love Tom Brady though. Like I did not expect anything less from Tom Brady, and I do not ever.
Still hurts losing that NFC Championship, Joe? Huh?
No, not as much.
The big thing is that, like, where's your loyalty when it comes to that? Are you like going to be a Packers fan or a Tom Brady fan in that game?
There you go. Good question, Marco.
Yeah.
Where do your loyalties lie, Joanna? Is it Brady or is it Rodgers? Huh?
On to the next question.
Okay.
That's
how we know, Ed, that we're doing a good job. We're making the host move on to the next section without even answering the question. That's how we know we're doing a good
job. On to the bad. Speaking of bad, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take this one first. I am going to go with the Cardinals game versus the Vikings. Although the Cardinals did come out victorious, that was a very messy game. Mm-hmm. They should not had. I don't know how to say this. They had 2 interceptions, or actually, I scratched that.
He had 3 touchdowns, passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown.
1 rushing touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So they're good stats. Yes, Kyler Murray's good. He is fast. He thinks, on his feet. But I think they could have done a whole lot better job on the offense, and especially when it comes to that pressure. That's my ugly.
Was that your ugly or your bad? I thought you said it was going to be.
I mean, sorry, that's my bad.
Okay.
My bad.
Oh, it's your bad. Okay.
It's my bad. My bad is my bad.
There you go. So you want Ed? You want to take the bad?
Yeah, my bad. My bad is still from that same game. Greg Joseph missing that 37-yard field goal to win it for Minnesota. He kicks it wide right. That's my bad that Minnesota was that close to winning that game, and the fact that they blew a 13-point lead to the Cardinals and still had a chance to win that game, but their special teams let them down. That's definitely my bad from that game for Minnesota to come that short of winning that game, Marco.
Okay, gotcha. Man, the bad one is kind of hard for me. The thing is, I would say the bad is the Chargers losing against the Cowboys in LA. Reason being is that because the Cowboys beat the Chargers at SoFi Stadium, they're starting to say again, oh, we are America's team. We're going to the Super Bowl. We're doing this. We're doing that. We almost beat Tom Brady last week. I'm like, guys, relax. Your division sucks. Your division sucks. Last year, a losing team made it to the playoffs. That's the thing I hate about that division. All those 4 teams are not playing good football. Like Eagles, they just lost against the 49ers. Giants in Washington, the situation with them. And Cowboys, sometimes you have to depend what kind of Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott show up every Sunday. Stop. You're not America's team. I'm tired. Stop it. It's the Chargers, a team that's trying to make it back to the playoffs. And Justin Herbert, I love the guy. Great quarterback, but come on, it's the Chargers. Relax. You're 1-1. You got 15 more weeks to play. You could be on the downhill like last year. Once again, you might gonna have drama with Jones, the ownership of how they're gonna pay Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, or any other player, Amari Cooper. Who knows? It's a team just full of drama. It feels like legit. It feels like a reality show, like Keeping Up with the Kardashians NFL edition.
I think you're onto something. You should launch a show like that.
Well, there's already Hard Knocks, but that's the only season of Hard Knocks I haven't watched because it's legit the Cowboys. I watched the rest, but not the Cowboys. I don't want to see that. I just don't want to see that.
Yeah. All right. So we're on to the good.
That's a good sign.
Mine's going to be great, but yeah, you do yours.
The good.
It's going to be great.
Okay.
Go ahead and you're up first, Ed.
My great.
Give us your good.
My great. My great. Yeah,
right.
I'm going to book the trend. Mine's great. Mine is great because of one of your guys, Joanna. Last night, Aaron Jones, he wore a necklace with his dad's ashes in it, lost it, still scored 4 touchdowns. And, oh, by the way, one of their trainers found that necklace that he lost in the end zone. That is great for him to score 4 touchdowns after his father passed away. This is the first game that he's played without his father since he passed away from COVID back in April. So that's great that Aaron Jones was able to play as well as he did for the Packers last night. Got you guys your first victory, Joanna, and he was able to do that, and he was able to honor his father, and he got the necklace back. That's my great. That's great.
Okay. Do you have a good?
A good? Mm-hmm. A good. Let me see.
I don't even know about Joanna. Is it even worth saying our goods? Because that's just amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. I don't know how we can follow that up, Ed. So while you think about your good,
that's why
I'll have Marco go.
That's why it's great, and just our segments are good.
Okay, my quick good is the Rams going to Indianapolis and winning a tough game against the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay,
for them to go 2-0, go on the road to Indy, that's a good win for them.
Okay.
So now I'll give you a little bit of a buffer between my great from Aaron Jones to you, Marco.
Oh my gosh, it's a tough follow-up, Ed. I'll tell you that much. But honestly, I think the good, even though it kind of hurts to say, I would say the Las Vegas Raiders. They won two great games these past 2 weeks. And this weekend they beat the Steelers. Obviously, Steelers aren't the same team as before. without Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, but they still got Big Ben, and it's a great franchise. They still got Mike Tomlin for a reason. He's still with the team for being a great coach. But talk about the Raiders, like they're trying to make something happen over there in Las Vegas. Like Joanna, I know me and you, we were at the stadium. Such a beautiful stadium. From outside, it's so scary. From inside, though, it's beautiful. And I think they got something cooking. John Gruden, with all the drama he suffered last year with Antonio Brown, it's just I just feel he found his pace. Derek Carr looked really good. Obviously, when he broke his leg, people say that his career was over. But this past 2 weeks, he leads the NFL right now after 2 weeks in passing yards. So I think they got something cooking right now. It's going to be a tough division because of the fact that you got the Chiefs and you got the Chargers, and the Broncos are undefeated. The Broncos are 2-0 right now. Obviously, they didn't beat really, really big teams, but the fact the competition is there. I think the West divisions and the NFC and AFC are going to be the most competitive divisions in the NFL this year.
I agree with everything that you just said. There's no way to really follow that up either.
And once again, we did our job again. That's what's
up. And Marco, how could Derek Carr not be happy when he's got one of the best wide receiving core / tight ends? We talk about Henry Ruggs. How great was he on Sunday catching that 61-yard touchdown pass? And you got one of the best tight ends in the league in Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow and Kenyon Drake, who came over from the Cardinals. He is stacked as far as offense and talent goes around Derek Carr. So they've done a great job of getting pieces that Derek Carr can a really good compliment to him for him to throw to and hand the ball off to.
It's really important because that's what you need in any type of team. You need weapons to do stuff. Obviously, there's people like players like Tom Brady that don't need those big names when it comes to receivers, but they get the job done, and that's what Derek needed. At the same time, he has some type of protection that keeps him in the pocket, and he doesn't have to run that much. Last year, he had to run almost every single play because he didn't have any protection, and now he has somewhat protection with the new with the offensive line he has, and just how fast he's able to get rid of the football. It just boosts his confidence. It just boosts his confidence, and I wouldn't say they're going to compete with the Chiefs, but they could really, really make their case for a wild card spot and try to make something in the playoffs. And John Gruden, he has that experience, and he has that grudge to win a Super Bowl with the Raiders, because after he left the Raiders, he won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. He wants that with the Raiders. He wants that desperately.
And how strong was it, folks, Joe and Marco, for them to win over Baltimore and Pittsburgh? Two AFC North teams, two of the best teams in the AFC, two teams that a lot of people think are Super Bowl contenders. For them to beat Baltimore at the Death Star in a phenomenal game, one of the wildest endings I've ever seen, and then they go to Pitt. They travel all the way to Pittsburgh on a short week to Heinz Field and beat the Steelers. Yep. Those are two quality victories, and now they've got two AFC victories.
Yeah, it's something that they're gonna have to embrace and take as much juice out of it as possible, because once they get to those division games, like I said, Broncos, they are undefeated. Obviously, not the best games, but when it comes to division games, it's going to be very, very competitive. Chiefs are 1-1. They're a little bit on the bad side because they just lost against the Ravens, and Chargers are going to try to go back to the playoffs. So all four teams are trying to compete. So those division games are going to be really, really fun to watch.
Yes, it's already exciting as it is. What we're witnessing here with football and the undefeated teams we have. But before we go ahead and move on away from our good, bad, and ugly segment, let me go ahead and just close this off with my good. And it's going to actually piggyback off of your great, Ed, which is the Packers. Aaron Jones.
Here's the bias. Here's the bias.
Yeah,
I'm giving it to Aaron Jones.
Not a stretch to say she's going to have a Packers as a good. Okay.
Should I just move on?
Oh, it's our bad. Go ahead. You're good.
So my good is Aaron Jones, not Aaron Rodgers. But yes, the guy with four touchdowns. He got the ball 23 times. And he is the first running back in 79 years with 3 touchdown catches in a game, which is very impressive. So he was just great. Seems like he just was able to have some chemistry with Rodgers. And they were just unstoppable. this game, and it just seemed like the Packers had it together and but we'll just see if this is something that will continue on throughout the season. Definitely a different team, seeing game 1 versus game 2, they definitely turned over that leaf. At least that's what it seems like. That's still yet to be seen going on to week 3.
Absolutely, because that first game down in Jacksonville against the New Orleans Saints, that was an absolute debacle. That's the worst I've ever seen Aaron Rodgers play a football game. He looked like he wasn't even interested, and now we see why the Saints picked Florida for any city for them to play their home game, because they know that Aaron plays horribly in Florida. That's why they picked it.
I was gonna say, like, there's another drama queen right there.
Yep.
As another reality show that could happen in Green Bay,
Yeah, true.
The Real Housewives of the Green Bay Packers,
Oh, I like that. You're onto something. We may have to make something of that.
I should be a TV director instead of a sports broadcaster. That's what I should do instead.
You should, or have that be like, your side gig. It's when you're not doing sports, you're doing,
in the off season. Like right now, when it's not sun season, I could be working on TV shows right now.
There you go. Hey, you're onto something. But to go ahead and close off our NFL segment, and we'll go ahead and leave. Michael will be leaving us here shortly. But before we do let you go, we do have undefeated teams that remain in the NFL, which are the Broncos, the Raiders, the Panthers, Chargers, Cardinals, the Bucks, and the 49ers. Which of these teams, if any, will make it undefeated to week 3? Marco, what do you think?
That's a really, really good question.
Really good question, yeah.
Let me look at week 3 schedule right now.
Yeah, I'm looking over it right now as we speak, Marco. Good question.
Oh, and the Chargers, they lost against the Cowboys, so they're undefeated. They're not undefeated right now.
They're 1-1.
Oh,
they're
okay.
1-1.
All right, thank you for that.
So Carolina goes against Houston, so I think Carolina's going to stay undefeated for sure. Then we got obviously
Cardinals,
Jaguars, and we got New York at Denver. Denver's going to win that game. They should win that game. It's going to be an ugly game because they both. Well, I know Denver's undefeated, but I don't think they're a really good football team. Miami at Vegas. With Tua being hurt, I think Vegas stays undefeated. Tampa Bay against Rams. Rams are not going to stay undefeated for sure. And then it's your team against my team, Joanna. So it's going to be interesting.
Oh, you guys put a little wager on that, huh? Now that
I don't know. We're going to have to talk about that after the show.
I know. We're going to have a conversation pending, yes.
Yeah. We should. So I think Niners are going to stay undefeated. Just throwing it out there. So just saying.
Yeah, I really don't doubt you, because I don't know how confident I am right now in the Packers. I'm more confident in the Cardinals than I am in the Packers, to be honest.
It's because you don't know what type of drama queen. I mean, quarterback is going to show up for Green Bay.
Which side of the coin? Yep.
Exactly. But I know for sure Tampa Bay is going to beat. They're going to beat the Rams. I think the Rams, they played really, really good, but I think just Tampa Bay is going to be solid. And the Raiders, they don't play this week. Oh, wait, they do against Miami. That's true.
They do, Miami.
So I think Vegas is going to be undefeated this week 3.
So who do we have? Who do you have losing this week? Do you have anyone losing?
I have the Rams losing, and I have the Niners winning, so they're going to stay 3-0. Denver's going to go against the Jets, and I think Denver should win that game. Cardinals are going to go against the Jaguars. They have to beat the Jaguars after we just said it earlier in the show.
Right.
And when it comes to, what was the other undefeated team that we talked about? Carolina and Houston. So Carolina should stay undefeated as well against Houston. That's a Thursday game.
So you have the Rams losing this one. Yeah. At least the teams. Everyone else should make it. Ed.
I kind of agree. I think the Panthers are going to win Thursday night in Houston. The Cardinals are going to win in Jacksonville. As you said, Marco, they have to beat Jacksonville. That'd be a travesty if they let Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars beat them as bad as Jacksonville's played so far in the first 2 games. Yeah, Broncos are going to go to 3-0 against the Jets. Raiders will beat the Dolphins, as you said. If they are indeed minus Tua, yes. Tom's going to go out to LA. He's going to go out to SoFi and beat the Rams. They'll be 3-0. And I think the Packers are going to beat the 49ers.
Man,
They're going to win on Sunday Night Football.
I was liking you so much until right now. I'll tell you that much. But the game that I think can go either way is the Broncos and Jets. I think because one day the Broncos could like show up and not play pretty football at all. So that's the game I see it going either way. But the rest, I think it's gonna go that side of the ball.
No, I see Denver winning that. That's their home opener. It's against the Jets. I see Denver holding court.
They should.
But it's also the Broncos.
I have a little like hate towards the Broncos right now because they released my boy Royce Freeman, who is now with Carolina because he's from the same hometown as me. So that's why I'm like, screw you, Broncos.
Well, for
Teddy Bridgewater did really well this year, though.
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater, he really embraced the role. Coming from New Orleans, was it? He played for New Orleans for some time. Was that also James Winston?
Yeah, Jameis. Yep,
It was Jameis Winston that was like backing up Drew Brees, right? But for some time, it was also Teddy Bridgewater, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always
then Teddy went to Carolina.
Yeah. So, yeah, Teddy Bridgewater. It just sucks after his big injury when he was with Minnesota. They haven't given him that fair shot of being like a starting quarterback, and I think in Denver he got it, and it's his to stay. It's him to keep.
As long as he stays healthy, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, let's hope so. All right, so I'm going to give my prediction, and I think the one that's going to be up in the air for me is the Buccaneers and the Rams. So I don't know. That one's going to be a really good game, and I will definitely have my phone off during that game. I think 49ers, I am with you, Marco, that they will probably come on top and stay undefeated against the Packers because I think Jimmy is the better quarterback over Aaron Rodgers right now.
I got to save that.
I'll send you the audio.
I got to say what you just said, Joanna. Wow. Like skill-wise, A-Rod, but maybe in the moment, I guess I agree with what you're saying, but wow. I never heard anybody say that in my life, that Jimmy is better than A-Rod at this moment.
Right now, he really seems the better quarterback. So, in my opinion.
Well, he just threw
I would like Aaron Rodgers to prove me wrong. So,
and he very well could.
Yeah, I wouldn't like for him to prove you wrong this week. Maybe next week, not this upcoming week.
Right. But who do I see losing, though? Goodness sakes. I don't know. Probably the Broncos. Because it is the Broncos and the Jets, too. So.
Well,
Jets going out to Denver and beating them. Of course, anything's possible, but no.
It is an interesting situation with the Jets, but I don't know. I think Teddy Bridgewater does what he's meant to do, and I think Zach Wilson, he looks really, really solid, but he still needs a lot of practice to get the team flowing in his favor. But I think just the experience of Teddy and this momentum of being undefeated is going to carry into their home opener because they're going to have to say, it's our home opener, guys. We can't lose in our first game of the season in our home opener with our own fans here. After so long, it's been without fans. At the same time, Mile High Stadium's a tough stadium to play at. Very, very tough stadium to play at. So I really, really see the Broncos winning it. But like I said, this is the game out of all the undefeated teams that I think is going to be the one that's can go either side.
Yeah. All right. Well, those are our thoughts here. But Marco, I will go ahead and let you go and have a wonderful night. I want to say thank you for joining us. But before I do let you go ahead and let everyone know where they can go ahead and find you and your work, and I'll share a little bit about your podcast as well.
So Me, I do a podcast called the Alta Sports Podcast and also the Alta Deportes Podcast. It's basically a podcast where I like to share the stories of sports broadcasters, athletes, coaches, because everyone has a story. Like I like sharing my story. But besides that, that's basically my side gig besides not being a TV director or producer. But besides that, I am a Suns Spanish broadcaster, the pregame, halftime, and postgame show host. At the same time, Phoenix Rising Spanish color commentator. And we do a show every single day from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on 106.5 FM and 1400 AM called Deportes al Máximo. It's a Spanish talk show. So feel free to check that out. And my social medias is the Alta Peralta, like you see down in the bottom, for Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook, Marco Antonio Peralta. So here to serve you guys. Thank you so much for the invitation, y'all.
Thank you, Marco, and
Thank you, my
appreciate
brother.
you coming on. And did you notice that I actually did get your handle
Yes,
correct today?
yes. I see the extra E. I know it's confusing. I just have a little I have a reason why I put the extra E in there, but that's my username. That's a conversation for another episode.
Another day, yes.
Exactly.
But no, it's easy to leave out, and because it tends to blend in sometimes, or
exactly.
You think you add too many E's and you take it off, and then you end up taking one too many off.
Exactly. So. But Joanna, Ed, thank you so much. Y'all, please be safe. God bless, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, Marco.
All right. Awesome. My good friend Marco, he is amazing. He's just so diverse in everything sports. But we are down to our last several minutes here. But before we do wrap up our show, I want to go ahead and just touch on a couple of things. And just want to quickly mention that our great friend and co-host PLR will not be joining us tonight. If you haven't gathered, you just had something come up and will not be able to make it. But we do want to say hi, and we hope to have him on soon with us again. But MLB postseason, and it's creeping up on us, and it's a race. It's the postseason race.
In more ways than one, right? Not just standings. We're talking about MVPs, talking about Cy Young awards. It's more than just a team making the playoffs. It's about individual awards.
Definitely, because we also have the Cy Young, which is also coming in hot and heavy, and that we have the MVP and so much happening with those awards as well. But we do have here the wild card spots that are up for grabs still. We have San Francisco Giants, who have clinched the National League division. We have for the West, for the Central is Milwaukee Brewers. We still have the East that is still open and could potentially be up for grabs. Who knows what will happen there? But right now in the running is Atlanta Braves. For the wild card in the National League, we have the Los Angeles Dodgers, and we have a second spot that's still open. There's still enough time that it can go any which way between St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, San Diego Padres potentially, and possibly the Philadelphia Phillies, going between 4.5 games to 3.5 games behind St. Louis and the Dodgers. Which is always a very tough division. We all know how the National League is, and nonetheless the West. But it seemed that it was no problem for the Giants and the Dodgers, though. Ed.
Oh, of course, yeah. San Francisco's both teams have probably hit 100 wins. San Francisco's at 97, LA's at 96, and boy, you got to feel for the Padres. They have completely collapsed. I believe they were over their last 34 games, they've lost 24 out of 34 games, 2-8 in their last 10 games. So that allowed Philly to creep up. So they're just a half game behind San Diego for that wild card spot. And you mentioned the Cincinnati Reds, they're 3.5 behind St. Louis for the wild card spot. So anything can happen over these last 20 games or so.
Yeah, we're like about a little bit less than 2 weeks away from the regular season wrapping up, and it can just very all be to the very last game and be a deciding factor.
Actually, I got
Yes,
my
the
math wrong.
Padres.
So we're about at least 10 or 12 games away from the season ending. Excuse me, my math got wrong. I was trying to do a quick math on the Dodgers record and I messed it up. But they've got 12 games left to go.
Yes, just shy of the 15. That's one thing I would with the how quickly everything's moving in the days advance. I
Yeah,
pretty much gave up on really keeping track how many games are left for each
I know
individual
it
team.
moves fast. And the Cardinals, Joanna, they've won 9 in a row. What a great time for the Cardinals to peak come playoff
Yes,
time, right?
definitely. Yeah, nine in a row. That's how they were able to go ahead and creep up while they were winning. Others were losing, and that they were able to go ahead and just creep up slightly. As you mentioned, San Diego went on a slump there and lost some games. But it's very interesting race here that we have going on in the National League teams. But moving on to the American League, we have right now still no one has secured a spot. No one has clinched as far as the division leaders, but those that are ahead are Tampa Bay Rays. We have the Houston Astros, the Rays for the East. For Houston for the West, and Chicago White Sox for the Central. So that seems to be a little bit more consistent, and it hasn't been too much movement there. It seems like that could very well remain, but we can still not be too sure because we know what happens. Can go on a losing streak, and others can go in a winning streak, and then there you go.
Yeah,
the tables have turned.
But I would say that the White Sox have the East, the AL Central in hand. They're up 10.5 games, and they have 11 games left to go. So they're pretty close to clinching that division. The White Sox are. But Tampa, as you mentioned, they're 6 games ahead of your Red Sox. Houston, 7 games ahead of Oakland. So as you mentioned, should it stay the course, they'll be the 3 division champions. And your Red Sox are peaking at the right time, Joanna. They've won 6 in a row as they're trying to secure one of those wild card spots.
Yes, they have. Boston Red Sox right now, they are ahead in the American League wild card to clinch that spot there. They are along with the Toronto Blue Jays, who have been hot and heavy as well. But right below that, that can very well just go ahead and sneak up on the Toronto Blue Jays. Has kind of been a little bit of a teeter-totter is the New York Yankees. Right now, they're on a 2-game winning streak. So the Yankees have been doing some work and, fighting for that spot. It's still yet to be known, could very well, like I said, go on to the very last game of the season with how close that is with that half game behind the Blue Jays. But we also have the Oakland A's who are just right hanging in there that can possibly go and they, go up ahead at 2.5 games behind. And Seattle Mariners, they were up ahead right now in the wild card, or over the weekend in the wild card race to clinch a spot there, and now they have dropped below the Oakland A's, and they're 3.5 games behind. So there's a lot of action happening, Ed, and I don't know what's going to happen.
And Joanna, you mentioned the New York Yankees. I'm just looking at their schedule. After they get done with the Rangers tomorrow, they finish that series against the Rangers at home. Their next 6 games are at Boston against your Red Sox, a day off, and then they go to Toronto. So their next 6 games are going to be massive for the New York Yankees' chances of getting that wild card spot. If there's any teams that they need to jump over, they're about to face them.
Yep. But very, very makes for some very exciting baseball nonetheless.
Absolutely.
But who also has seen some excitement here? We're just to wrap up our show here tonight, and I want to mention and bring into the conversation, or just make this comment with reports of Ben Simmons in the NBA with the Philadelphia 76ers, which was a topic of conversation in our last show with our special guest that I had on the show Keith Pompey, who is our 76ers beat writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer. But Ben Simmons is being reported that he will not be reporting to training camp once again, not making this any easier and even just being more of a distraction and taking away the focus of the team, of the organization, away from camp, and just being able to savor their winnings from last season and other, instead of having other positive and happy news come of what the Philadelphia 76ers were during the season and during the playoffs, and the great coach that Doc Rivers is, and how he's been able to turn the team around. Unfortunately it's shining on Ben Simmons drama there, but those are the latest reports as of a few hours ago, and that story is still unfolding.
Yeah, it is sad that this thing is turning out the way it is between Ben Simmons and the Sixers, Joanna, that he's saying that he's not going to report to training camp. He's not going to play a single game again for the Sixers. He's done with him. And by all reports, the Sixers have been trying to make deals. They've met with Rich Paul, his agent, with Clutch Sports, and things have not been able to work out. They haven't been able to find a suitable partner that would give them back what they think they need to have in order to give up Ben Simmons, a perennial all-star in his first couple of years in the NBA. They know what they want from Ben Simmons, but they haven't been able to get that kind of a haul as far as what teams are willing to give them for Ben Simmons. So it's just going to be one of those impasses, Joanna, where the Sixers are going to stand their ground. They're going to be right here. Ben's going to be right here. So who's going to give way first? I'm thinking the Sixers are probably going to win this battle, and Ben's just going to have to sit out. He knows he's willing to lose from a financial standpoint, and until he gets what he wants, and if they can find a trade partner for him and ship him off to wherever they go, and the Sixers will just go ahead and have to move on. But they're still pretty set, even if they lose Ben Simmons. That the core nucleus of the Sixers are going to be able to contend again, hopefully for an Eastern Conference championship. That's still a really good basketball team, even if they lose Ben Simmons.
Yes, and I agree. I think 76ers, they are in a really great spot, even without Ben Simmons. But the only downside is that this has to be, this is the attention. This is where the light is shining on, when it should be shining on the core that are the Philadelphia 76ers. What is Doc Rivers in the organization? Instead of shining on something positive, it's shining on a negative. And hopefully that they will be able to go ahead and turn this around as the season kicks off. And if, yes, undoubtedly that's where everything's leading and pointing to Ben Simmons not partaking in this 2021 season with the team. But it will be all, I think, for the best for everyone all around.
And if that situation where they move Simmons, then as you mentioned, all parties will be much better off, and hopefully the Sixers will get back what they want and think they deserve for Simmons, and Simmons can move on and start fresh somewhere else, because that's clearly where it's headed. That Ben is done in Philadelphia, even though the Sixers would love to have him back and try to work out a deal, but Ben doesn't want to be there. If he doesn't want to be there, they'll eventually find a suitable trade partner. There's teams out there that would love to have somebody like Simmons in their midst. Of course, they've got to be able to work things out. You just can't get rid of an all-star just easily and just trade him somewhere without I's being dotted and T's being crossed on as far as contracts and paperwork and everything else that has to go into moving Simmons to somewhere else. Yeah, no,
definitely. But with that wraps up our show. My goodness, still having trouble with my words tonight. I don't know why. But before we do leave you, Ed, go ahead and let our wonderful people know where it is that they can find you.
Yes, right here on the Inside Sports Talk on Brother PLR's show, The Sports Cave, on Twitter at EdCole43, Instagram at EdwardCole301, and Facebook, look me up, Edward Cole.
All right. You can go ahead and find me, Joanna Rosalie, on both Instagram and Twitter at JRosalie, and that is JROSALYE. You can find Inside Sports Network on Instagram at Inside Sports Net, on Twitter at Inside Sports, add an extra S at the end. And thank you for joining us tonight. This was Inside Sports Talk.